Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk about the NBA free agency. We also talk about what happens when one person leaves one team, commits to another team, goes back to that old team. We also talk about what else can happen with the NBA's, the East, the West, all that good stuff. It's NBA free agency. My guest host Earl Ross joins us now on Guys Talking Sports. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Al Qualls, host of Guys Talking Sports. And again, I want to say thank you for all those that are watching right now, all those subscribers. I really do appreciate it. We really appreciate it, I should say, as Guys Talking hosts, the host here at Guys Talking Sports. Right now, I got my guest host with me, Earl Ross. So what's going on, Earl, man? How's everything?
Everything's going lovely, man.
That's good to hear, man. It's good to hear. So we're gonna get right into it. I know we missed last week's. I think we did miss last week's. But we're gonna talk this week about the NBA free agency and how everything has just been up to this point. So the first thing we should, I guess, talk about with this, the main hot story is this DeAndre Jordan signing with the Clippers. Basically, not about him re-signing, but how it got to where it is right now. Which is, of course, many of you know, DeAndre Jordan originally committed to the Dallas Mavericks, but then after a couple of days later, he changed his mind and went and re-signed with the LA Clippers. So, Earl, let me ask you what your thoughts about this whole DeAndre Jordan situation right now.
Hey, man, that's why they that moratorium that they got for when you can verbally agree and handshake till you sign the contract. To me, like I always say, it don't mean nothing till it's on the dotted line. So
that is true. Go ahead.
so I mean, yeah, you verbally agree, handshake, yeah, I'm a sign, and then you start having cold feet, and so then you want to go back to the Clippers, and that's all well and good. Maybe should have gave the Clipper. I mean, maybe should have gave Dallas Mavericks the opportunity to kind of match it or talk to them like, hey, look, guys, I know I said I'm going to sign with you, but I'm thinking maybe I want to change my mind and go back to the Clippers. He had in his right to do it. He had in his right not to do it. I'm a proponent. Like, look, until your name is on that dotted line, it means nothing. And it's unfortunate for the Mavs. They got pissed off, and the way things went down, where he decided he was in his house closed up. He called Blake Griffin. Griffin called Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers called Steve Ballmer. They all came down and got in the room. His agent was not even present. They had another agent from that company in there, which is another whole story altogether. But they got the deal done. Never seen anybody calls from the Mavs for like a flight since like Sunday. It's very, it was very sketchy. But in my opinion, it's, you have the day when you say I'm agree to sign, and then you have 10 days, whatever. Then you can actually sign on July the 10th. If you want to get rid of that stuff, say that when you agree, you sign. But outside of that, until they sign names on the dotted line, that verbal handshake means nothing to me.
I completely agree with that. I do agree with what you're saying. DeAndre Jordan has the right to choose, and especially given, like you said, if anything, you should shorten the day of that period because it gives people minds. They may change their minds. DeAndre Jordan has every right to do that. I don't knock him for doing it. But I do have to say how he handled the Dallas Mavericks, though, is a bit unprofessional, just in my opinion. The common courtesy is if you already verbally commit to somebody, and if you feel like you change your mind, you have every right to change your mind, but you should at least let that organization know, hey, you know what? I reconsidered. I feel as though that right now the best place for me is to stay in LA. At least you're giving them the heads up of what it is that, is being professional about it because, truth be told, when he becomes a free agent, again, owners are going to look at this. And they're going to say, hey, look, after what you did the last time you became a free agent, it may be a little bit sketchy about why should we, as far as I would say if we do sign you, you sign on the paperwork right then. Otherwise, there's no commitment to it. Because who's to say that he may balk after another couple of days and re-sign again or go to another team. So I think you're right, though. They do need to shorten that period. The amount of time that it takes for the players to make a verbal commitment, then the time it takes for them to actually sign the papers is way too long.
Yeah, and most of the times when people actually give their verbal commitments to sign on the dotted line and say, I'm going to play with the team, they usually do it. Now, for whatever reason, why he got cold feet in between July 1st and between July 5th is beyond me. That's something that no one's saying, but apparently he got cold feet, called Blake Griffin, and Griffin called the troops, and everybody got him to resign, and basically it just locked him in the house to make sure he signed it.
Yeah, basically. Well, I'm very interested in. So I'm more interested, to be honest. Even though Blake Griffin and them are, I can understand that. I would have been more. It'd have been more interesting and more of of an agreement to me if like CP3 was there, if Chris Paul was there, because you hear all the rumblings about how they didn't get along. I mean, that would have shown a positive thing. It seems as though like if there's more rumblings between DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul, like it just seems as though like everybody is dancing around the issues. Of course, you're going to have his favorites come and try to convince him to stay, but it would have been more interesting to see if Chris Paul would have actually advocated for him to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, they said Chris Paul came at the 11th hour to kind of help seal the deal. I mean, he was out, on vacation with, LeBron and Carmelo and Dwayne Wade, but we're not going to talk about all of that. But he was out there, on vacation, and then, yes, they had some issues. Yes, me personally, I like CP3. I mean, but they had their issues. But I'm surprised. Apparently, maybe that 11th hour, CP3 said I'll tone it down or something. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting story over the next couple of weeks how this all unfolded, because I mean it just went from him going to the Dallas Mavericks, then within like 4 days that deal got shut down, he signed, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And I kind of feel bad for the Dallas Mavericks because, if if he didn't go through this whole waiting period, they could at least if he would have told them, hey, look, I may have some reservations or something like that, then the Dallas could have probably like, all right, let's see if we could do Plan B, or just in case he goes back to LA. Like he didn't give them any indication, and like I said, I do feel sorry for Dallas, but it is the nature of the business, of course, and how it's set up that way for players to do that.
Yeah, it's just like a regular business. I mean, you have a verbal agreement, but until the name is not, signed on the line, those agreements are just verbal, just like in college commitments, and it happens all the time. Kids, verbally commit to colleges all the time, and then when it comes time for signing day, they change their mind. Happens every year.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. I said on my Twitter feed, I said one of these days what I'm gonna do the next time I get hired for a company, I'm gonna take a picture of me signing on the dotted line, just like all the athletes do. You might as well just make this a household thing. Like you take a picture of you just signing like a dotted line on side of the paper of a company that just hired
Exactly.
you. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, like that's really been the biggest story. I mean, were there any surprises in regards to like signings or any teams that took a step up?
Well, I mean, well, first off the bat, you got to at least say that the Spurs have took a definitely step up. I mean, they got the prize of this year, which was LaMarcus Aldridge. I am curious to how this is all going to roll out, because you're going to have him and you're going to have, Tim Duncan, both in the front court, both play on the same position, the left side of the court. So I am very curious to how this is all going to roll out. I mean, Manuel's come back for 1 year. Tony Parker's definitely going to be there. Kawhi Leonard just got signed. I mean, you got the core nucleus there. I mean, I would love to have heard how they sold LaMarcus Aldridge on that one. I thought he was going to go to the Lakers, actually. I was not that surprised when he didn't go, but it was just like, okay, what happened? But they had two chances at the Apple and they still couldn't get it. But after the first meeting, when he said he wasn't impressed, I was like, that's it. I didn't think he was actually going to go to the Spurs, but right now the Spurs have set themselves up for to be, if not the favorites in the West. and possibly the favorites, period. But there's still a lot of basketball to be played. I mean, you still got Cleveland that's still going to have their team, but obviously LaMarcus Aldridge comes to the Spurs, definitely upgrades them big time and sets them up for post-Duncan play afterwards.
Yes, I do agree with that. But was also what sets them up atop, put them at tighter contenders is the fact that they could even convince David West to take a $8 million cut to play for the league, the veterans minimum, and convince him to play with the Spurs.
He left like close to $10 million on the table, if not more than $10 million. I was shocked. I was like, really? You chasing the ring that bad? Now look, you want to go back to people chasing rings that didn't work out. We can go to Karl Malone, we can go to Gary Payton.
Exactly.
On to the Lakers, and they got as close to the NBA Finals, and that just went completely haywire because they just got caught off guard by a faster team. But that's another story. But still, you want to chase the ring, you better be very damn sure that you go into a team. And he left $11 million over there at Indiana to sign for 1.5, the veterans minimum.
Well, I'll put it like this. I can't knock him. If you were going to do that, you better go to the one team that has the pedigree to get you to that title. And there is no other team that could get you there other than the Spurs. I'm sorry. I mean, I would have thought Cleveland would have had a shot at him, but I kind of figured that they wouldn't because of San Antonio's pedigree. When he took that and went to the Spurs, I said, okay, yeah, you're right. He is really chasing after a championship. I mean, he's made the money that he's already made. I guess he's considering himself at the downhill of his career, where if I'm going to do this, I need to at least go for a championship or at least put myself in a position to win a championship. So I give hats off to them for convincing David West to do what he did.
And I think for me, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks about like how LA and New York has miffed out on some of the free agents, and because they're not destination places anybody wants to go. I'm still mad about Monroe from my Detroit Pistons going to. I don't know why he decided to go there, but I know why he decided. But I'm like, you went there of all the teams, but either way, no. But it's just like those big market teams aren't grabbing those players to go there. But I think, it's just like everybody wants to go to a team that they think they can just turn around and win a championship within the next 2 or 3 years, as opposed to going to a team, establishing a legacy, establishing your name. All right, yeah, maybe you have to, grind it out for about 2, maybe 3 years. They want to go to a team that's built to win now. And that's what you've been seeing ever since, not since the with LeBron and Bosh going to Miami. Ever since the big three went to the Celtics, it's been like all the players have been wanting to form up and go to teams that are built to win now.
No, I agree with that. I really do agree with that. That's really. The competition is there, and it's not no longer the big market cities can attract the big big players, especially if they have losing teams there. They can't attract them with the bright lights and the city itself anymore. They need much more than that. They need competition, and these players right now, they see that. They're saying, look, I don't want to play for. It's not really about the money. I could go any place to get the money. But I just want to be at a position where I could win now. And that's what Monroe did. I mean, truth be told, Milwaukee was in the playoffs. They, as a 6th seed. And, he is, to be honest, I thought he was the missing piece to what they need since they let go of Larry Sanders. And now that they have him, they actually have I have to admit, they increased their chances, their playoff position than they did last year. And it is unfortunate because, like you said, because he had to leave Detroit to do that. But I didn't expect a lot of big names to come to like LA or the Lakers or the Knicks, because they really didn't have anything that much appealing for them to that makes them want to say, all right, yeah, I want to go. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge, the whole presentation about LA, about the city, and they said the presentation was about what's out in Los Angeles and the people that's out there, the Hollywood style. Marcus Aldridge is like, yo, that's not what I'm here for. Like, how's the team gonna compete to win a championship? He's like, if anything, I could have stayed with Portland.
I agree, and I think that for Lakers standpoint, I think it's the ownership. I mean, if you had somebody like Jerry West that was there, I mean, that I think it would have been a done deal. That's years ago. I mean, Mitch Kupchak is doing it, but the management of the Lakers has a lot of problems right now. But yeah, but I totally agree. I mean, like, you don't you you don't have to go to those big market teams to make the money. However, to cement your legacy, if you want to win a championship in LA, win a championship in New York, that'll make your legacy more of winning a championship, let's say in San Antonio or Cleveland or Miami.
Sorry about that. It's amazing how things are with the teams are, how big the market is in regards to the smaller cities are now catching up to the big cities, and it won't be long before the big cities realize is that they're going to turn around and be the smaller markets, where they're rebuilding, where both like LA and New York, they already know that they're in a rebuilding process. To stay relevant though is going to be key for them. And right now they have they're work in progress because they got to figure out how they're going to get these players to commit and come to them and want to play for them.
Yeah, like I was arguing, like I was discussing with my coworkers. I was like, you know what, the Lakers didn't get neither the Lakers nor the Knicks got LaMarcus Aldridge. Okay, Knicks wasn't going to get it. Lakers probably might have had a more better shot, but it didn't get him. I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, maybe it's not a bad look that neither one of them got him. I was like, at this particular point, you're not going to get any free agents to come there. I mean, the Lakers may have an outside shot of maybe Kevin Durant or maybe Russell Westbrook. I think more Russell Westbrook than Kevin Durant because Westbrook is from California in the LA scene. But
wait, before you say that, now, I mean, that may have changed now because of D'Angelo Russell. If he plays to the potential, they don't need they don't need Westbrook to come back to LA.
No, I'm not talking about the Clippers. I'm talking about the Lakers.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Lakers. Oh. The Lakers have D'Angelo Russell now. They got the rookie. So with that second pick. So and his style is very similar to Westbrook. So in a couple of years, they probably won't even. D'Angelo Russell may be a primetime player where he has the same similar style as Russell Westbrook. So.
Good point, but what I was saying is that maybe it's time for the Lakers. They're gonna have to start rebuilding from scratch and build a team and not have to worry about trying to win now, but just build a team that can last. I mean, you might have to be like the Spurs. The Spurs had a team that competed for the last decade, not because they brought free agents from all over the place, because they got a good core team, drafted well, built a good nucleus, and it just grew. I mean, like, do you want to be like the Miami Heat that'll win for 2 and they'll be good for 3 years? Or do you want to be like the Spurs who are going to win for 10 years?
No, I agree with that. That is true. And I think that, I guess the big cities have to understand that they also have to take a step back and start rebuilding, from the ground up. And I don't think fans in both cities is going to wait that long. I mean, especially when you have rival teams in the same city, in the same area code, with the Clippers for the Lakers, and you have the Nets for the Knicks.
True. I think neither one of them to worry about neither one of them. Well, the Knicks more so about the Nets than the Lakers about the Clippers, because the Clippers had their shot and they just they messed that up this past year.
But hold on now they got Paul Pierce, so they do have a closer. So I mean, this is going to be a very interesting team. I mean, because they just brought back like you said, they just brought back DeAndre Jordan, and you add Paul Pierce to the mix now with Doc Rivers. That's going to be their missing element that they need.
Paul Pierce.
Well, no, but I'm saying he helped. You saw how he helped the Wizards, and if it wasn't for that John Wall injury, who knows what the Wizards would have done in the Eastern playoffs?
Well, because it was John Wall, not Paul Pierce. I mean, I totally agree with you on that one. If Paul Pierce doesn't got hurt, the Atlanta Hawks doesn't make the the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly, and it would have been that would have been an actual Eastern Conference Finals between the Wizards and the Cavs. So, like I said, this season, it hasn't been significant changes, but it was enough, especially in the West. And again, I have to say this: the West is always either improving or they switching around. I haven't really seen anything the East have done to make significant improvements. The only team that I could actually say that made a good step would be, if anything, I can't even name one. Maybe besides Milwaukee, of course. I'll give Milwaukee their due. The Wizards, I would really have to see with the absence of Paul Pierce if like Otto could step up and fulfill that role of small forward. But the only ones that I see that's going to be competitive is who's really going to be competitive against Cleveland? It's not going to be Atlanta because they lost their DeMar Carroll to the Raptors. If anything, I would say the Raptors made great improvements. I would say Milwaukee, of course. The Wizards are still at where they are. I think Chicago may have taken a step back. All depends on how their Rose plays, of course, and Joakim Noah. Miami's improved. I mean, really, other than that, I don't see what other teams have took major steps to improve.
No, and I'll say Cleveland got in my opinion a mulligan because once Devin George got hurt in the finals and then Roy Hibbert was like a no-show, then I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers had a not an easy path, but they had a very less hard path than anybody else to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
If they come back, but you lose Roy Hibbert, you lose
David West.
I mean, I don't see it. The Pacers were supposed to be built to contend with against anybody in the East for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and they couldn't, they lost their whole front court. That's what's they lost their front court. So it'd be interesting to see how they what they do in regards to that situation because. If they would have kept David West and Roy Hibbert, if you add Monte Ellis to their team, I would say they would be right back in the picture. Yeah. But now that the front court is gone, the question is now what are they going to do? I would have definitely easily would have put them in contention with Cleveland if they kept both West and Hibbert.
I agree. That's why I think that LeBron James never wanted to have any parts of the NBA West. He wanted to stay right in the East. Much easier to get to the finals and then go over there to the West.
It is. And that's what I was just saying, and I was saying this before when the offseason was about to start. I said I would like to see a shift where, teams from the East improve. I mean, yes, they improve, but not as much where I could honestly say that they would actually give Cleveland a run.
No, I mean, no one's right now, in my opinion, giving them a run in the East. I mean, even with the additions you have on some teams, it was more so additions on the West.
Yes.
Than the East. The East hasn't done much at all, collectively. So they got a lot of people going from the East to the West.
Yes. 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 I agree. with that. And which is weird because if I'm a player, the first thing I'm thinking is that, look, all right, I know for a fact that my main competition to reaching the NBA Finals would be LeBron and Cleveland. I would rather face one team than to face a couple of teams in the playoffs that has a shot of beating me. Like, I just never really fathomed that, I guess. But I guess that's something we'll see in the off season, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more trades and more, off season, acquisitions in the process. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
I think I'm gonna get a lot more. There was some movement now, but I think I'm gonna get some serious movement come next year because, you're gonna have the new NBA contract with ESPN is going to go up. Salary cap is going to go up. LeBron James just had a 2-year contract with 1 year where he's getting 23 mil. I mean, you're going to have Kevin Durant that's going to be on the block and a couple of others. I mean, Westbrook is going to be a year away, but you have to wonder whether or not you're going to be able to keep him or you're going to do a sign and trade. Kobe is going to be probably, at this particular point, not come back for a third season. Why would he? Because there's nobody on that team really, unless they do really, really well and make the playoffs. But I suppose he's going to probably play out his last contract around to the Lakers. I would let him play out his last contract. But you have a lot more money, a lot more cap, and it's going to be very interesting to see how these players really react. I mean, I was surprised that LaMarcus Aldridge and all these guys signed long contracts like they did, knowing you're going to have this new NBA contract with ESPN coming in, bigger salary cap, a lot more money to be had. But if I'm Dwayne Wade, if I'm LeBron James, most of LeBron James, he's sitting pretty. All the pressure for LeBron James is put on the Cleveland Cavaliers to put a good team around them to go.
Yeah, and he set it himself up perfectly because he just signed a 2-year deal with a player option after this year. So he set him up perfectly, and he's pretty much the only person that could do that at this point. But I think that's something that we're gonna have to continue to see. Also, the summer leagues that's coming out. I mean, that's being played out right now. There's a lot of off-season acquisitions and a lot off-season things for owners to do and accomplish before the beginning of preseason. I know that we said we was going to cut things short, but real quick, let me get your take on the JPP situation with the New York Giants, please.
Oh man,
I know I didn't want to bring it up, but I know being as Giant fans, I could not end it without getting your take on this.
Man, that's a tough one, man.
Maybe I should come back the following week with that question.
No, I can answer that. It's just like, ooh. I mean, the report says you got his pinky finger amputated. You got his thumb, which was fractured, which I think is more serious than the pinky finger amputated. You had Rodney Lott playing with an amputated finger, and he went in Hall of Fame. I don't know what that just. I mean, I want to get the story. It's not the story about him getting amputated and get the surgeries, whatever. Before, I want to figure out how did he get to the point where he had the firecracker in his hand and to go off. That would be my more question. And right now, the Giants, he didn't have a contract. He had a contract on the table from the Giants. He hadn't signed. And I think they were going to put like 15 mil on the table, something around there.
Yeah.
At least for guaranteed monies. That's gone. The contract itself might be completely gone, but I don't want to see him playing in the Redskins, Cowboys, or Eagles jersey at all. Because if they don't sign him, then they let him walk to free agency. But you don't have a pass rusher that you didn't draft thoroughly in the draft, so you're in a kind of a bind. I say give him a contract, just lower the money. You don't have to lowball him. I don't like it. I'm very upset with JPP right now. I'm like, really, dude? I'm like, who puts a firecracker in the hand? There's got to be a legitimate reason for you to have a firecracker in your hand to jack off your finger. Well, you ain't jacking off anything, but to jack off your finger and to jack off your thumb.
Okay.
It's very depressing as a Giants fan right now.
I sat down at my desk and just put my head down when I saw all this stuff coming out. And I sat at my desk for roughly about 5 minutes to try to assess the situation. I would definitely like to know more about the situation, but based on what I've heard so far, I do have to say, JPP, I'm very disappointed in you. And I'm trying to say this with a straight face because we told, this is not like one of those freak. It's not a freak accident. Like, this is something that you know that you're not supposed to do, but yet, people still do it. I get that. You should just be more careful. You're a football player that makes millions, and I would have had somebody else held do it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like this, especially at the height of you about to sign a contract. Like, it could not have been the worst situation. And truth be told, I do feel sorry for you because you had to get your finger amputated, and that's crazy. But I I I I feel sorry, but then again, I don't feel sorry. It's like, you know something that you tell your kids, don't touch the stove because it's hot, and they touch it anyway. And they cry and everything, but you like, see, I told you. Like, it's
Now
like
you
one of
know.
those. Yeah, like, now like, that's why fireworks is illegal. And if anything, you have millions of dollars. Somebody else could have held it. That's all I'm saying. Um, I do wish you well in regards to your recovery. But you said, I mean, as a Giants fan, like, I'm like dumbfounded right now. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's
We
just,
all,
and
we all.
the officials not letting the Giants officials come in to evaluate your condition. I mean, that's kind of you being shady about that. Like, if you might as well just be open. You might as well be honest. Like, look, I made a dumb move. Now I got my finger amputated. You know, I had to bite the bullet and take a L on this. But to hide it, and it's
You're
just
like,
you're almost in that. It's like, ethically wise, you're almost in that same situation as DeAndre Jordan, not being professional about it. If you want to keep it a secret, that's one thing, but you gotta at least let your employer know what's going on. You can't keep them in the dark, and it's. I don't even know what to say anymore about this. I don't.
it's just, you're like 2 weeks from training camp. You're about 4 weeks away from your first preseason game, which you're probably not even going to play. Now you're really not going to play. I'm like, why are you not going to the Giants? You got a contract sitting on the table. Uh, you you have 15 million guaranteed, at least 15 million guaranteed coming to you. Now you done lost probably 10 out of that 15, if not all 15.
I I I, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I, I don't know anymore. I can't even say anything about it. I just don't even know what to say. Like, I feel sorry for the Giants organization because I don't even, I'm done. I'm
As a
done.
Giant, as a Giants fan, I always say, I was like, I hate preseason and I hate preseason and training camp because everybody gets hurt. Regular season, no one really gets hurt until like near the end of the season. But it's always, a training camp and preseason where all our people get hurt, and then that's it. No one gets hurt after that. I'm like, it's bad luck.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is at this point. Um, I, we could talk more about this because we could go for like another 2 hours on this straight about him and DeAndre Jordan. That alone that would be a long segment. But I'm gonna end it there. Earl, man, I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. I mean, to talk with us, talk with me in regards to these sports, man. I really do appreciate it.
No doubt.
For everybody else, you can catch Guys Talking Sports every week, every Thursday. No, every Friday. I will be posting it on tomorrow, so you can catch it on Friday. Try to do it every Friday. We'll have the videos up. Also, for those that don't know, for all those subscribers that subscribe to my channel, that's going to change and become starting sometime this weekend. I'm going to have it where as though Guys Talking Sports has his own channel. Also, I'm going to be starting the website as well. It's very soon. So Guys Talking Sports is going to have his own website. Thank everybody for the comments, for the subscribe. Also, special thanks to the YouTube creators that gave me information and insight and tips on how to make it a better product. I really do appreciate you guys. For everybody else, Oh, I'm sorry. Earl, anything you want to plug, like your Twitter handle or something like that?
Twitter JEROSS7. Same thing with Instagram. Same thing with well, if you're looking from your Facebook, it's just James E Ross, but Twitter handle is JEROSS7. Instagram is the same thing, and just I don't Twitter much, but I'm starting to get into the groove now, so I'll be tweeting my things, and be just be on the lookout.
And for me, you guys, you can always check me. My handle is right on the lower left hand side or right hand side. Left hand side. I'm sorry. Catch me at I am Al Qualls. You can catch me on Twitter with the same handle, Instagram the same handle, Facebook as well. You can reach me at Al Qualls. You could also, if you can. I mean, I really would appreciate it. We would really would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. But actually, you know what? Hold off on hitting the subscribe button right now until we set up the new channel, and then you can subscribe as much as you like. For everybody, I really do appreciate it. This is Guys Talking Sports, and until next time, take care.